Hey everyone, AniMonster here. So I kind of wanted to actually share my thoughts with Night in the Woods. I was caught a little off guard by that ending and didn't really actually share my thoughts of the game. If you don't care about gameplay or art style, go ahead and jump to timestamp. But outside of that, this is the non-spoilery bit, so if you're just here for a review of the game, there you have it. Great story, by the way. I highly suggest it if you're just going for a game with decent story. Outside of that, it had a lot of variety of kind, which I don't know if you necessarily know what that is, but it's the idea of you might have a specific genre of game that you're doing, but you still have different types of gameplay during the game itself. This is usually why games that are hack and slash or games that are shoot 'em ups tend to have puzzles somewhere in the game. It's kind of break the stride of one specific kind of gameplay, and Night in the Woods does that very well. They have rhythm games, they have kind of like red light, green light, I think is the best way to describe it, where you actually have to go and grab things and then, you know, regular exploring. Like, this game actually has a surprising amount to explore, which I didn't realize until someone else told me to make sure to. And it really enriched the experience of the entire thing. I will say, for the rhythm games, basically the character plays bass and it's like Rock Band or Guitar Hero. You have to press the buttons in time. I felt like it was a little offbeat sometimes. I am also not necessarily the best at rhythm games, but so I had a lot of fun with those. It's just sometimes I felt like it was obvious that usually you need to calibrate those, and those probably could have used a little bit of calibration. It's also really weird doing that with a controller instead of, you know, a guitar like you would in Guitar Hero. As far as the art style, I loved it. It's very simplistic, surprisingly, but I felt like it worked for what it had, and some of the animations caught me off guard. Like, the main character started nodding, and I did not expect it, and it looked maybe a little wonky at first, but once you get used to it, it's like, okay. It gave it a weird 3D effect on what is effectively, like, paper cutout type animation. But I got used to that after a while. Spoilery bits next, so if you're just here for a review, go ahead and this is that. But if you're looking for more gameplay and review footage, you could always hit the subscribe button. So spoilery bits, that ending, oh my god. Anyway, so to start off, I wanted to talk about May and her depression, which is very obviously what she's suffering from. It's it was actually kind of a personal thing for me because I recognized it. I mentioned this a couple times when she was looking at herself and kind of berating herself for how she looked, but it's obvious she has a lot of self-confidence issues, and the breaking point where she beat someone up, interestingly enough, I actually recognize that is still depression, because what we call depression is actually the official term that my doctor personally wishes would become more mainstream is sertraline deficiency. Because you're not depressed, you actually are incapable of, you either feel nothing or you have one emotion, like, exemplified. Anxiety and anger are both examples of that. And it was pretty obvious that May was suffering from depression, with the fact that she was like, well, everything just became shapes. Kind of having a problem getting up in the morning, having a problem identifying with things, all classic signs. And it was interesting to see everyone berating her for coming home from college without realizing that it really was like a serious mental issue that she was having with it. But at the same time, I can also understand Bia's frustration, where she just losing her mother and all the fallout from that. And I've heard that story plenty of times, and it's heartbreaking, to be honest. I don't really have much more to say on hers. I'm just happy that it seems like her and May are going to be able to... In the context of the game, it seems like her and May are being able to be Mayday again, which is adorable. Mayday. No, oh right, because it was her nickname was Mayday. And it was adorable. I also like, I'm still not sure what, like, I guess I don't necessarily have to put a label on it, but I know that May likes girls. I don't know if she necessarily does still like guys, or if that was, like, her not really wanting to come to terms with... Anyway. On that side, I love the fact that it's... I feel like Angus's and Greg's relationship and like everything revolving around them, I felt like it was a really good, positive same-sex relationship. Like I have nothing else to say on that. It was very well done. I felt like it was very believable. I liked their chemistry, and it was nice to see a positive example of it, because it was obvious that they both really liked each other and that it was a very good relationship for the two of them. Greg was able to help Angus through a very tough time. Angus was able to bring Greg down and make sure that he could actually do everything that he needed to. Kind of agree with Bia and May on that. I have no idea how they kept their jobs, but, you know, whatever. As for that ending, oh my god. It's kind of awful to think about, to be honest. The thing that May saw on Halloween was them deciding, oh, this person won't be missed, and they're a detriment to the society. Which, anyone who thinks that they have the right to do that is terrible. The idea that... It was interesting because it was kind of a generation gap where the older generation felt like they had to keep Possum Springs relevant, pretty much. And for some reason they decided that the best way to do that was to throw young people into pits if, you know, they thought that they were... I can't even finish that thought. I feel like all the adults down there were despicable people. The older people down there were despicable people. I feel a little bad that the main characters kind of maybe dropped a cave on them, but to be fair, I think one of them was trying to kill May. So, as far as the whole Eldritch Being thing, something inside the pit, in the context of the game, I don't think there was anything there. And the reason that I say that is this is something that I really like writing. I like stories, I like figuring things out, I like going back and looking at things. But in the context of that game, it didn't really feel like there were any other supernatural elements. I think there was something about Possum Springs specifically, like maybe... I don't want to say something in the air because that sounds so... Ugh. But I feel like May's depression, and she probably got sick right soon after, kind of all mixed together to something. And the dreams were really interesting, but it was implied that she had had them before, even after the first time. Because the first time she had a dream, she woke up and she went, whoa, that was a weird one. I don't know if that just means that she's had dreams before, or if it was specifically those types of dreams where she's running around and beating stuff up, finding the notes, and traveling through, like, weird space. But I think the big thing is that it's also that she doesn't remember them half the time, which is typical of dreams. You know, you wake up and lose half of it in the blink of an eye. But I don't remember how much she actually remembers of that last conversation with the giant cat thing. I kind of felt like there was nothing more supernatural going on there. I could be horribly wrong, but it's just my theory. Outside of that, I thought it was really interesting to see where they went with technology, because it was obvious that it was the age of cell phones. I mean, everyone had a computer, there was internet there, but they kind of solved the idea of being able to just go on your phone to figure things out with the fact that there was no cell reception in Possum Springs. I'm not from a small town. I don't really know much about small towns, so I can't tell you how much that makes sense, but it made sense to me. So even if it doesn't, like, that isn't necessarily true these days, it worked well enough, and it was enough to suspend my disbelief. There was also that moment where, after May got shot at, I legitimately thought I messed something up and killed her. I was terrified when she was in the church and everyone was around her, and just... Ugh. They were a little less clear on how long she was kind of in a coma, or maybe I just completely missed it. It's possible I completely missed it. I was a little delirious at that point because I had been playing for so long and trying to keep up with everything. Legitimately thought I killed May. Very well done on their part. The developers, the ability to tell that story. It was seriously the moment that I started playing Bia, I was like, oh god, I messed up. Still kind of wish I could have played the end credit song. That would have been fun. I think it would have been a nice little return to normal. The first night she was there, she got to be in the band, you got to play the first song. Still a really good song, but... So, yeah, go ahead and tell me your thoughts, or what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I would highly recommend it if you have not played it yourself. Because there are multiple endings, apparently. I don't know... what other endings you could have done. Yeah. Probably gonna play it again at some point on my own. Next time. AniMonster. I don't know. Have a good night.